This mob farm gets me from level 0 to 30 in like 5 minutes. This mob farm doesn't get me to level 30 because I don't have that kind of patience. Seriously, spawner farms suck. Sure, spawner farms are cheap, but who wants to mine out a big enough area for maximum spawns? Not me. What if you accidentally mine the spawner? What if someone comes along and intentionally mines the spawner? I guarantee that no matter what stage of the game you're in, there is a better farm for you. I have 3 mob farms to show off later in the video, but before that, here's my full essay on why spawner farms are an embarrassment to the game of Minecraft. 1. Spawner farms are super slow. The XP output of a spawner farm is on average 4 times slower than the farm I showed at the beginning, and that farm only scrapes the surface of XP efficiency. XP aside, spawner farms are also 4 times slower in mob loot efficiency, which brings me to my next point. 2. Spawner farms give bad loot. Overworld spawners can only spawn zombies, spiders, or skeletons. That excludes one of the most important overworld mobs, creepers. Gunpowder is probably the most important mob drop mid to late game, and it is usually the reason I build a mob farm. 3. Spawner farms are inconvenient. Because they are built based off a pre-generated structure, you don't get to pick where it is. That means you're either traveling to get to the spawner, or you are changing your base location to be closer to it. Spawner farms also require the player to mine out a 9x6x9 area, plus a kill chamber, which is really annoying early game when you only have an iron pickaxe. Keep in mind the spawner you find might be at deep slate level, which takes forever to mine. Now that I've gotten that off my chest, here are the 3 farms, one in each dimension, that will decimate spawner farms in effectiveness. By the way, if you play bedrock, one of these farms won't work, but the king of bedrock farms, PLAYZ, has a great gold and XP farm that will pretty much beat anything else you find. There is a link in the description to that, but keep watching this video for a bit longer. I still have tips that will work for both versions. This mob farm uses an hopper-clock powered system to push mobs off of a platform with water. Any mob farm with a flushing system like this will work 100 times better than one where you wait for the mobs to walk off on their own. Before you decide to build this farm, here are some pros and cons. Pros. Loot from most overworld mobs. This includes bones, arrows, gunpowder, string, spider eyes, rotten flesh, and redstone from witches. Notably, after 1.21, witches drop a lot more redstone, making this a small redstone farm. Medium XP output. This farm will give enough XP to satisfy most players, but definitely is not the most effective. Cons. It can be a pain to build. This farm uses a lot of blocks and is built in the sky, which can be annoying. To start building this farm, find an open area in the middle of the ocean where you can stack up 128 blocks. This is because hostile mobs can only spawn in a chunk if the chunk center is within 128 blocks of the player, and we don't want any mobs spawning outside of the farm. The version of the farm I'm going to build has 8 layers, but this can be expanded up to about 32. Just know that if you plan to expand, it will use exponentially more blocks, and there will be diminishing returns with each layer. Now I'm going to build the platform where the player will kill the mobs. This platform can be any size you want, but make it at least around 7x7. Pick a spot to be your center and stack up 20 blocks. The next step is to build a platform going 10 blocks in each direction from the center. Next, we're going to put water over it to push the mobs towards the center where you can kill them. Here I'm building a railing for the water, one up and one out in every direction of the platform. Keep the corners in place though, we'll need those to place the water. Now pick a corner to place the water bucket. Be careful with this part, don't go too fast. Place blocks to slowly spread the water. If it spills over the edge, it's okay, you can block it off, but try to keep all the water in the pit. Keep spreading the water until it's 7 blocks out, so it's just barely spilling over the edge. After you do it once, repeat it in all 4 corners of the pit. After that, go back to the center and mine down 3 blocks. Then build out 2 in every direction. Now I'm going to build a platform in the shape of a tilted square, 1 block below the water platform. This should go 6 blocks out in every direction. After finishing that off, make a 3x3 box. Then continue that 3x3 box all the way to the bottom. At the very bottom, you'll place your chest and hoppers. Make sure when you place the hoppers that each hopper chain has a similar amount of hoppers, or just place them how I did. Use a water bucket to get back up to the top and then place your signs like this. I'm placing them one block lower than the current platform because I'm going to break some blocks so that the water flows all the way to the center. Now destroy all the center blocks that don't have water on them. Watch carefully as I break a few specific blocks to let the water pour in. If you don't break the exact same blocks, it can still work, just make sure there is no spot where the mobs will stand still and they will always go into the hole. Place a block above the sign, and stack up while destroying the blocks below you until you're 24 blocks above your original platform. Create a 2x6 platform with the center of the farm in one of the 4 centers of the new platform. Now to create an etho hopper clock. Begin by placing 2 hoppers, but make sure they're facing each other, so that if you place an item in it, it'll go back and forth. Now, place 2 redstone comparators, each with the double prongs facing towards the hoppers. Place a block on the other side of both comparators, and then pistons facing inwards next to the comparators. Now place redstone on the back side of either piston, and finish off by placing your redstone block in the middle. Now that it's constructed, place half a stack of netherrack in either hopper, and it will start to function. Stack up with an observer in the center of your farm. On top of that, place a dispenser. Now, place 7 blocks in every direction from the dispenser. Fill in the outline in the shape of a tilted square. Go back to the center, place a block, an observer, and a dispenser. And then, make an identical platform to the one you just made. Repeat those steps until you have 8 layers. Make sure that whenever you make a layer, there's a dispenser on the floor. Now to make a roof so that monsters actually spawn inside the farm. Stack up 3 blocks and break the 2 blocks below you. Build 1 block in each direction and then mark your center block so you don't forget it. Begin building out 21 blocks in some direction and then fill in the tilted square just like before. Once all the netherrack has been placed, remember to light up the roof. Then there's only 1 step left. Come back to your center block, mine down and place a water bucket in each dispenser. Once you finish that, to avoid the mobs, jump into the ocean. This farm doesn't work on bedrock as it mostly operates on the nether roof. The main functionality of this farm is this. Zombified piglins will spawn in dugout rooms near the top of the nether. The piglins are drawn towards a center portal by a turtle egg, where they are teleported to the overworld, and then back to the nether roof, where a player can kill them. I won't be giving a tutorial for this farm, as I think IANXOFOUR does a great job, link in the description, but here are my pros and cons. Pros: large gold output. You won't be seeing any gunpowder with this farm, but the gold output is extraordinary. This isn't any crazy industrial farm, but that just makes it so much more impressive that you can make full beacons with this farm in less than an hour. Large XP output. Along with gold, this farm will supply a player with plenty of XP, significantly more than the previous farm. Cons: Silk Touch required. In order to obtain a turtle egg, you will need something enchanted with Silk Touch. Other than that though, turtle eggs are super easy, so don't get discouraged. Obsidian. You have to collect 54 obsidian, which can take some time, but the rest of the materials are easy to collect. Trouble in multiplayer. There are some constraints to this farm if playing in multiplayer. You may need another player or an alt account to AFK while using the farm on a server. If you are in multiplayer, I would suggest using either other farm, but you can still make this one work. Simply put, there are two types of Enderman farms, those with an Endermite and those without. Endermite farms are usually far more effective, but more difficult to construct. In the description is a link to an Endermite farm that I recommend, but if you don't want to go through that process, I have an extremely simple Enderman farm. And of course, pros and cons. Pros: super easy and cheap to build. This farm takes about 5 minutes to build, provided you have a few stacks of slabs lying around. Medium XP output. This farm gives similar XP to the Overworld farm. Cons: it is in the end. Getting to the end can be a struggle, and some servers close off the end, so this farm might be inconvenient. Only ender pearls. This farm loot is not nearly as good as the others, but the ender pearls can still be useful. The first step is to bridge out 128 blocks from the main end island so endermen don't spawn outside the farm. Make sure your bridge uses bottom half slabs so endermen can't spawn on the slabs. Next, build a small 5x5 platform out of slabs. Once that's done, go to the far side and place slabs like this. This is where you'll be able to kill the endermen. Place your ladders here as well. Continue placing slabs how I do. I'm gonna be honest, I don't really know what to say here. Just copy the blocks I place. Go up the ladder and finish the killing chamber. Place blocks here so that the enderman will run into the hole. Crouch to the edge of the block and place slabs on the lower layers. This is so you can place the stairs that the enderman will run up. Then do the same thing on the other side. Now reach under the stairs and place a line of slabs so that now you're using the top half slab. Bridge out 20 blocks, then loop around and connect the other stairs. Go to the loop you just created and use the rest of your slabs to build as big a platform as you can. It doesn't need to be that big to be effective, but for the most part, the bigger the better. After that, that's it. Just go back to where the ladder was, and all you have to do is look at the endermen, they'll run to you, and then you can kill them. Overall, I think ENDERMITE's Nether farm is the #1 farm, but if I'm on a server, I use the Overworld farm instead.